So I'm Mando, your moderator for today, and Music Allies copyright consultant. And today we're talking about publishing and sync. And we have Diego Maldonado, who's a music producer and music business executive, currently serving as the head of rights management and regional manager for Latin America at ONErpm. And Diego has managed to make ONErpm one of the main music industry players in the region, working with thousands of artists in all stages of their careers. So he's the right person to talk to us. And we have Camilla Saravia. Hi, Camilla. Who's the founder and CEO of M3 Music, a leading music management company that specializes in the development of music talent in South America. And Camilla has worked over 15 years in the music industry and has developed many artists, such as Bombay Stereo, to become one of the most important Latin American bands. So, Diego and Camilla, welcome. Do you want, before we start, to tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you're currently working on?
Okay, thank you, Mando. Thank you, Diego and Carolina. Thank you for inviting us. Well, as you said, Mando, I own a management company 11 years ago. I started working with alternative Latin artists. Nowadays, we work with many Latin artists. As you mentioned, I think Bomba Stereo would be like one of the biggest cases we could discuss, especially in this topic of syncs and publishing, because we have done a huge work trying to develop the sync business for Bomba Stereo, and now it's one of our main incomes. So it's very interesting. And apart from that, in M3 Music, we also have a publishing and we have a label. So our main goal is to develop Latin alternative artists and basically to be able to bring them outside of the Latin or Colombian market and bring them to other places in the world where, you know, there's more industry and more things going on. So basically that's our main goal for now.
Amazing. Thanks, Camilla. Diego?
Well, first of all, thanks for the invite. I feel honored at being part of this panel. And well, I'm part of ONErpm, as you said, Mando. ONErpm is a company that's been running for over 11 years. Its main countries are Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, and the US, but it already has reach in Europe. We have offices in Moscow, Madrid, London, in Istanbul, and throughout South America as well, Peru, Chile, Argentina. I was serving as country head for Colombia first, but then I got very interested in the potential there was towards building a rights management unit. I proposed this to the CEO, Emmanuel Sons, owner and founder of ONErpm, and he agreed. So I started leading the rights management division globally. And under this division falls the publishing and sync units. I honestly didn't have any experience before delving into this adventure. But it's been very rewarding after 2 years of leading it, trying to understand this, global scenario of collecting royalties for artists and composers, and also, exploiting the songs, for sync uses and audiovisual uses. Currently, we already built the product to really offer a 100% digital publishing service. So we are able to register compositions on our CMS, then on the different PROs and CMOs, collecting both public performance and mechanical rights, and paying out the royalties that composers that they get. So yeah, I mean, it's been very exciting, and I think at this point I have some knowledge on how this digital publishing landscape looks like in this region.
So thank you, Diego. I guess this is very important because ONErpm is a distributor, right? Mainly.
Correct.
And what does it mean now to also for publishing services. Publishing is for songwriters, of course. So is this something that was already offered in Latin America, or or a songwriter would have to go through a collecting society?
Well, I think ONErpm's goal is to really provide solutions for musicians and for creators, you know. And when you put it in those words, I think a lot of challenges arise, you know, because it's not just putting your music out on DSPs and you know, make it build audiences and do marketing campaigns, but also, you know, provide other solutions, you know, to really consider yourself a professional musician, you know, and a music professional. You know, I love to say these two things because in appearance they are the same concepts, but they're fundamentally different. You know, being a professional musician and a music professional. And I love to say that we are, you know, in the mission of having more music professionals, right? And ONErpm, yeah, is trying, you know, to build a lot of solutions on their one platform that first started as a distribution company, but now, you know, we can say that we offer marketing, we offer sync, but and then the publishing edge was missing. So right now we have this, and yeah, I mean, it's of course a challenge. The distribution side of the business a lot easier. There are a lot of technological advances and standards that have been put in place, you know, making it very streamlined. But on the publishing side, it's a little bit different because it requires PROs to get involved at some point, and then there are the collecting hubs, you know, like Latin Author or Unison or Mint or the PROs in the US. You know, they all work differently, and we have to design, you know, specific cases for each of these partners if we want to collect. So it's been a real challenge, you know, to really put in place a system that, you know, understands each of the particularities, but have a back end, you know, that can provide a really good solution for collecting and paying out to the composers.
So Camilla, how important, from the artist perspective now, the manager's perspective, how important is publishing in Latin America as a revenue for artists, and is it increasing the last years with digital streaming?
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, as you were mentioning, I think a few years ago, many artists didn't even know the difference between a publisher and a label, you know, and they didn't understand the difference between the rights that the publisher collected and the rights that the label collected and paid out. So I think it's been a process for artists to understand the importance of a publisher, and it's been slow. I mean, I still see artists that they feel like the collecting societies they're never going to sign up to a collecting society because they're going to steal their money, you know, and that happens the same with the publishers. Artists still feel like, you know, why would I sign my works to a publisher if they're going to end up stealing my money? But when you start talking to artists and they understand the different revenue streams that can come from the publishing side, they start to understand that that's the other side of the business. And I think it's a very important side of the business. As I was mentioning before, many of my artists currently live from royalties from the publishing side. So I think it's a very important side of the business. And I feel like in Latin America or Colombia, but Latin America as well, writers and artists are starting to understand the difference between both and the importance of being signed with the publishing. And also I feel like publishings are starting to do a better job, you know. Before they would only like sign and have a huge catalog, and of course they would collect, and as Diego was saying, it was very difficult to collect royalties, and there wasn't that much transparency. I think over the years, with all the technological advances, it's been easier to collect royalties and for the artists and the writers to know where are the royalties and where are they coming from and how much it is. So I think that gives more confidence for the writers to go sign with publishing because they know they're gonna get the money. And right now, I mean, everyone listens to music from all over the world, so it's very difficult to collect royalties if you're not signed to a publishing or if you're not in a collecting society. Because I don't know, you're based in Colombia, but then you have your music is being heard in Germany,
Yes.
and there's no way for you to get those royalties unless you're with the publisher or the collecting society, and they're helping you get those royalties. So I think like people are starting to understand the importance and to understand that that's a different revenue stream, and it's very important to have it as well.
Thank you, Camila. Let me just say at this point that anyone in the audience that has any questions, feel free to raise your hand. You know, and if you want myself or Camilla or Diego to explain any of these publishing details, just feel free to ask or write something on the chat. Amazing. So, sync. Camilla, we've talked about sync before. And I remember you mentioned that it was kind of like a savior during the pandemic, wasn't it, for artists?
That's right. That's right.
So
yeah.
How is the sync industry going? And can you tell us a little bit, like, how can you get a sync in Colombia or in Latin America in general?
Yeah, I think, I mean, definitely the sync business for us was like, it saved us during the pandemic, as you know, and this happens all over the world. Most artists, their income came basically from touring and from shows. And that was my case as well. Like all my artists, we were in the comfort zone. We had a lot of touring going on, so it was fine. But when the pandemic came, it was like an eye opener for us to see like, where are those other sources? And it was actually very interesting because we realized that there's so much income from royalties. We were just not looking at it because we were in the safe zone with the touring, you know. But at this point, and I think this is something that's never going to go back. I feel like looking at royalties and looking at the sync business, we realized that there's a lot of income there that we have to be actually going out for, you know. I feel like in Latin America, and I say this because I've been working with the sync business in the States and in Europe for a long time, and I know how it works there. I think in Latin America, brands are still starting to understand the importance of having original music in for example, in commercial spots. Same in like series or movies, you know. At this point, I feel like in Latin America, they're starting to understand that having original music is actually a value added, and it actually does help them bring more audience to their brand. And this is something that's starting to happen in Latin America. And I think it's a good moment, you know. If you do the right pitch to a brand with a song, or to a you know, like music supervision, or if you go to like the right agencies, if you do the right pitch, they're probably going to buy the music. And talking about brands, for example, they pay a lot of money, you know, they do pay a lot of money for syncs. So it's a very interesting business that's starting to grow in Latin America. I feel like the best way to do it is go out and pitch the music. Talk to agencies, talk to music supervisions, talk to other publishers, you know, and try to get the music out. And once you start, and that happened for us with Bomba Stereo. I remember our first sync was in like 2010 with FIFA. And since then it hasn't stopped, you know, and it's just a ball that starts growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, it's
and
a
right now,
effect, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I would say it's one of our main incomes right now. You know, the sync business for us is huge, 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 all over the world. So yeah, and I feel like Latin America is starting to open the eyes, and I'm sure it's going to be a huge business in the upcoming years.
And of course, when an artist gets a sync, after the upfront fee, you do get performance royalties when the movie or series or advertisement is broadcasted, right?
Yes.
So then you continue receiving royalties.
That's right. Yeah, it depends on how you close the deal, but yeah, usually you continue receiving royalties. And also, like, I mean, this is when you get a sync, you don't only get it on the publishing side, but if you're also the artist of the song, you get on the label side. So you get money on both sides, and it's a very interesting deal. And I would say, like, the main thing that has helped us a lot, especially in these past 2 years, are that we can get like advances, and advances have helped us a lot. You get advances from the label, we've got advances from the publishing side, and that's helped us, you know, get a stable income, and get the publisher working, you know, because they need to get that money back.
So, and sorry, just the last question before I move back to Diego. So is it that the majority of your sync licenses, sorry, comes from abroad? I mean, outside Latin America? Or do you also have a lot of domestic syncs?
No, we actually do have domestic syncs. I mean, it comes from both sides, and we get like many syncs that are like the world territory, or there's things that they're just syncing for Latin America or for Colombia or for the US. So it depends on the territory as well. But we do get domestic syncs, and I think you have to look at Latin America as a whole, you know, like usually we get a sync for Chile, or last month we got a huge sync for Brazil, and it worked so well. Then they're saying now we want to open the sync and we want to do it for Latin America, you know. So I feel like you have to, instead of just focusing on one territory, try to get syncs that get a broader territory. And usually when you charge for a sync, if you get more territories in, it's going to be more expensive as well. So I usually try to aim for more countries than just Colombia or abroad, you know.
I see. Thank you, Camila. I see that we have a question. So is it us to unmute? Jonah?
Yeah, hello. I have a question for Camilla. Which are the best kind of clients from your perspective?
Well, it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for money, then definitely agencies, brands. If you're looking for visibility, because I mean, syncs they're not only for money, you know. Syncs also give you a lot of visibility. And I would say, like, if you're looking for visibility, then definitely music supervision, you know, like try to find TV spots or a series where you can get the right music at the right scene and everyone watches it. We had a case a few months ago. We had a sync from Bombasterio in a series from Spain. And it's a song that we never released as a single, and it's a song that actually just came out in an album, but it never came out like as a huge act. And then we released it in the series, and then all of a sudden we saw like a plus 2000% in Shazam. So everyone was Shazamming the song. So then that's another way to get your music out, you know, and people to know your music. And I would say that sync was one of the cheapest things we've given out, you know, like they didn't pay that much, but in the end, it made the streams and you know, the streams to go up on Spotify and all the platforms. So, I mean, it could be either money or strategic, you know, and you have to try to make it work either one way or the other.
Is it easier to sell the song or the rights to the song again once it's been sold once?
Yeah, I would say, sorry, I'm responding on this one, but I would say, like, in our case, and going back to Bombasterio, and I'm going back to this case because it's huge, you know, it's really, really huge. It all started with one song. And I would say, and it's Soy Yo, and that song still represents 80% of our incomes in syncs, you know, so wow. It's one song. It's all about the song.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So cool. I also have a couple of more questions, if you don't mind. So what does an artist need to have in order for you to get interested in working with them?
That's a good question. I think, and I would answer this from the management side more than what we're talking
Yeah.
about. I think
Sure.
it's all about
Makes sense.
having feeling, you know, like I don't really care about what genre or what type of music they do, or I feel like it's when you get in a management, it's like a marriage, you know, and you have
Yeah.
to really have that feeling, you know, and both both artists and management need to see like the same path and the same objectives in the end. And I feel like if I feel it with the artist and I see that the artist feels it with me, we're open. No, we love working artists and we love working and we're a big team now, and there's a lot of people that really love music, and I feel it's all about loving the music and really loving the artist, and then you go and sell anything, you know.
I see that Carolina has a raised hand. So sorry, Jonah.
Yeah, hi. I'm not sure who can actually answer this one better, if it's Diego or Camila, but of course we see the growth of series being produced, right, with Netflix and Amazon and everything else. How is it there in Latin America right now? Is there like a lot of local productions being done, and do they love using local music? Like, do you see the kind of like influx happening as well, or is it just a lot of like North American, a little bit of European influx coming in? It's just to see if the fact that we're making so much content, is it also helping locally, or is it just kind of being overswammed from the US?
Completely. I mean, we are seeing all of the big production companies and streaming companies coming to Colombia and establish themselves, you know, locally to produce content. So we're seeing Amazon series, HBO series, Netflix series, Disney Plus series. I mean, all of them asking for local content. So it's definitely a huge opportunity, and we're, you know, the more they start producing content, the more requests we get from them. And this applies also for the rest of the country, especially Mexico. I mean, we receive a lot of pitches from Mexico, where there's a TV industry, you know, more developed than it is here, from Spain as well. So yeah, I think it's a global phenomenon, and Colombia is not the exception. You know, we're really seeing a lot of, you know, a lot more activity going on the sync side.
Yeah, and I also feel like I mean, and talking from our side as well, there's so much music going out right now, like local music, and so many things going on, that there's so much music you can put on that content. We just did a music supervision for a Netflix series, and all the tracks we put in the series were emerging local talent, you know, and I feel like, as I was saying before, that's giving them the space, you know, to get visibility and start growing their project. So yeah, I mean, there's so much content happening in South America and Colombia right now, and so much music that it wouldn't make any sense to get music from other parts where we have it here.
That is very interesting. That's something I myself wanted to ask, because we do see that the global consumption of Latin music has increased significantly, right? Especially in Europe. So it is true that in Colombia, or in general Latin America, you've started using more of your local music. Always talking about movies and series. So is that, or is there still a lot of space for European music, American music, North American?
Okay, well,
Sorry.
I think culturally, you know, like people here still like to have the Anglo music, you know, and that's more going into a more social and cultural way of looking how people think here. But I feel like local consumption has been growing, and as people start seeing Latin music grow in the States and in Europe, they consume it here as well. So I think every time there's like more space for Latin consumption from the Latin public.
Great. I have two questions. I just saw them now on the chat. I don't know who wants to answer first. In terms of independent publishers, which ones would you recommend to try to get in touch in Colombia? Well,
I guess.
so you are a publisher yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what you're aiming for. And I mean, because do you want to license a song, or do you want them to license your content and collect? So I think that would be the first question.
One administration. Or
Exactly,
creative
exactly.
services.
So you would need to look at, what capability of those publishers are in terms of reach in collecting, not just in Colombia, but I would suggest, having a broader look and look at how this is happening at a Latin American level. Again, going back to my first intervention, I think, Latin America is a very particular region, and every country has particular agents, and customs, So, having a look at someone who understands, as many regions as possible probably would be a good, place to start. Someone who understands local, but also plays regionally.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, since we're saying that you, as a publishing service, you also do sync, is that right?
Yeah, we do. In fact, I mean, we're looking. I mean, we different from Camila. We operate more like as in a B2B type of business, because I mean, we are constantly licensing music from artists, both on the sound recording and publishing sites. So what we're really doing is building out a one-stop catalog, like very big, and this is very interesting for certain types of agents in the music industry. We don't have a specific catalog that it's very attractive, but instead, we have many songs from all around the world that we can, provide to music supervisors, production companies. So we're really looking at, opening, these conversations with not just supers or ad agencies, but also, new services like Peloton, or these fitness services like Apple Fitness, and we're trying to find as many opportunities for this content to go into. So yeah, I mean, that's really what we're after.
Lovely. Camila?
Yeah, I would like to add just, I mean, regarding what publishing you should choose. I mean, of course, there's always like the commercial side and the sync side, and try to get like the music supervision and the brands. But I also feel like you have to try to look for a publisher that has writers, like I feel like getting writers together to work on songs, and getting the songs to the right place, and I feel like you have to look for publishings where, you have to look at the writers they have, what type of music they do, and then maybe if that publisher can get one writer and one other writer and do a song, and get people together, because I feel like just one person sitting and doing a song, usually, well, it could work, but it's going to work better if you get many other people on a song and work on a big hit. So I feel like you have to look at what other writers that publisher has, and what songs they have put out, because as I was saying before, it's all about the song.
So in that sense, maybe for the people looking for publishers, a good place to start would be to check to find out the publishers of similar writers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would say there's similar artists or artists with whom you feel like you would like to work with. And there's also like smaller publishers which usually can give you like a more one-to-one service. There's also like the huge Warner Chappells and all that, like our Sony publishers that basically you're just part of a catalog, and but there's not that like one-to-one service. So it all depends on what you want, you know, and what you're looking for in a publisher.
Yeah. All right, we have another one very specific question here. How precise or descriptive are the sync music requests from Netflix, etc.? What's a typical soundtrack request like?
Well, I feel it could be anything, you know, like for the music supervision for the series in Netflix, they just gave us a budget. And it was a small budget, you know, it wasn't like a huge budget. And they're like, this is the budget we have. And they gave us like the full liberty to put the songs we wanted. Sometimes, you know, like they're asking you for a precise sound, you know, for a specific scene where they want to be like, no, I want the dance music because it's going to be in a disco in the bar, you know. So I think it could be as precise as they need it to be, or they can be as open, you know, and then I feel it also depends on the budget. And many times they're also looking for a specific song. You know, many times they're like, I want this song specifically. So yeah, I don't know, Diego, if you have anything.
No, yeah, I mean, you said it all. Yeah, it can be as specific, you know, it gives you the exact wording of as how the script is, you know. This scene is like this, like that, you know, at this time of the day, you know, it's the radio is playing a song, you know. It's in the 1980s. I don't know, man. It can be very specific or very broad.
Do you get requests that have to do with lyrics, specific themes in the lyrics?
Yeah. I've even had requests where they ask us to change the lyrics. And that's not, I mean, that also is like, you know, the writer has the right to say if they do want to change the lyrics or not. But I've had those requests, you know, like, why don't you put like the phrase of the brand instead of your lyrics? I mean, many times, or usually we say no to that. But we've even gotten those requests, you know, so you get crazy requests, you know, like, why don't you do a song that sounds exactly like the song from Queen, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I'm not going to do that song again, you know, like, so it's crazy. Sometimes and that comes more from like agencies and brands. They just get crazy ideas that it's never going to happen.
And do they always require instrumentals?
It's preferable. It's preferable to have instrumentals, also stems. They're usually requested because, yeah, at the production level, they will like to edit, you know, add some information from the song or take it off. You know, it's difficult. It's difficult, honestly, especially when you are not the artist, you know, because we usually license in such a large scale that it's very difficult to get a hold of, you know, these inputs, you know, whether that is the stems or the instrumentals.
I guess that has to do with the difference you described to us before, that you are more B2B
Exactly.
and you do things more in bulk.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's easier for labels, you know, that, you know, have their hands on the production material, you know, readily available.
Yeah, or even management, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we have another, sync is very hot. So we have another question. What's the optimal stage of production to actively offer music to a series?
Wow. I think it depends, you know, like if you're looking, are you? I don't know if it's me or every time I speak.
I think someone has the microphone open.
Is that better? Yeah, better. I would say it depends. I mean, many times series are looking just for incidental music. And I think incidental music is something that's very done right for the spot. So, I mean, you can send music, and if people like the type of music, then you can start working on the incidental music. If they're actually looking for this song or a specific song, then I would recommend you send it as close as possible to having it like in the end phase, you know, because you're competing with a lot of songs. So, and usually like people listen to it and they, you know, like when you hear a song that's fully produced and a song that's not fully produced, and many times this is people that don't know about production and don't know about music, you know, so they're just gonna get confused and not be able to understand the song. So I suggest that you send it as possible, as I mean, it doesn't have to be like super masterized and super mixed, you know, but as possible to have it in the best stage.
Sorry, I understood the question differently, but I don't know what Jonah meant, but I think he meant the stage of the production, meaning of the movie or the TV series. That's what I, is it that, Jonah?
That's right.
Okay, got it. Okay, I would say in that case, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that, because I feel like usually when they have they're recording the scenes, they already know what type of music they want for each scene. So
yeah, exactly. I wanted to add that because it's you know, you are out of control those decisions, because even if you push your music hard, yeah, the production will already have, you know, some ideas in mind. I think the only case where you have control over this when they want your specific song and they already reached out, you know, looking for that specific song. But whenever it's, you know, that they will be just asking for certain songs that resemble certain moods or whatever, and then you have the chance to offer. But otherwise, you will not be able just to, you know, call them and say, hey, can you guys use my music? I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, well, thinking about it and temporarily wearing my artist management hat as well, I think, you know, if you have a very specific production in mind, I don't know, you have a rock artist and you're aiming for Sons of Anarchy, you know, I think that your chances would be with pre-production, because chances are that anything after it will be completed in terms of music supervision. But, you know, it's just like Diego and Camila say, there is no standard, right? Because, you know, if a producer really wants a song, they will add it at any moment, right?
For sure, that's right.
Right, Camila? Jonah?
Do you ever get to see a draft of the scene or some kind of version, like a storyboard or something?
Yeah, sometimes, usually they do send the storyboard, you know, and they say like, this scene is happening in a bar and there's two people dancing and kissing, and we, you know, and that's the song we want for this scene. Because usually, I mean, when we approve a sync, we get to know, like, I mean, I wouldn't want the sync from my band to be in, you know, when, I mean, two people are killing each other, you know, and that's something that the writer or the artist also gets to decide whether they want their song to be there or not. So usually you can ask for as much information as you need, and they should send you a storyboard. Even many times when we get, like, when the scene is already, like, they already shoot the scene, they can even send you, like, this is where the scene where the song is going to appear. So yeah, you can ask as much as information. The other thing with syncs, and I feel like this happens a lot, is like, especially with brands as well, it goes really fast, you know, like agencies, they need approvals really fast and they want everything really fast, you know, like everything is for now. So if it takes you a while, you know, looking at the scene and thinking about it, and they already went for another song. And that's also something that, I mean, what's helped us a lot is that we have, usually we get all the writers from the same publishing. So when you have to approve, it's only one publishing approving. When you get 10 writers, each has a 10%, and there's like 10 publishers and it takes forever to approve, usually agencies don't like to work with that, or music supervisors don't like to work with that, because they're gonna have to get 10 different approvals and it's gonna take time, and they want it simple and they want it fast. So that's going back what we were talking about before. I mean, when you're choosing a publishing, it's better to choose a publisher where, you know, you can work with other writers and you get tracks in the same publisher, so that music supervisors only have to get like one authorization, and that's easy and that's fast.
Thank you, Camilla. I think that Carolina is raising her hand. Is it Carolina?
Yes.
Hi, Carolina.
It is me. Sorry to interrupt again. But I had a question to Camilla, actually, when you're talking about the writers, because obviously Scandinavia is very known for having amazing songwriters, right? And Bomba Stereo has a pretty good history also here in Denmark, as in you guys have played Roskilde a few times, and there's like quite a connection. And you also work with producers, right? As management. Do you work
That's
with
right.
the Nordics? Would you be open to work with the Nordics? And I know what you said with the publishing, like, oh, if you need to have different people in different places, it gets a little bit more messy. But do you feel the, like, how open are you guys to just kind of cross culture and kind of use that artistic bond in order to also conquer markets and also help Nordic artists to come into Latin America? Like, how can we create this beautiful exchange from the north to the south?
We love working with Nordics, actually, because usually when we've worked before with Nordics, you know, like I love the culture because they're always on time. When you ask people to send something, they send it in the right time. Latins are the opposite, you know, like they're always late. They never send what they need to send. So it's really interesting. And just as like as an interesting story, I was talking about the song Soy Yo, which is the song we sing the most. Actually, a director from Denmark did the video for that song. And it was really cool because we put the song on this online platform. We didn't know what to do with the song, and we knew it was a really strong song. And we put the song on this online platform, and people would just send like different ideas for the video. And then this guy from Denmark who had done like no videos at all. I mean, he had like one homemade video and that's it. He sent a really cool idea, and we're like, okay, let's give it a try, you know. And it was a really cheap video. Well, I mean, for what usually video costs. And he did this really amazing video that was nominated to the Latin Grammys. You know, it was crazy what happened. And we just sent him the song. He sent the idea. We're like, let's do it. Here's your money. Send us the video. And we didn't even interfere. And it was amazing. It was really, really great work. And going back to the music, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, as management, I usually don't get that involved in the music or the artistic side. But Simon, which is the person who does Simon does the music and Lee does the lyrics, you know, and, you know, like the music is very electronic based. So yeah, of course, we love to work with people. And I feel like, as you were saying, Denmark for us has been huge. Roskilde is one of like the best memories I have. So I'm sure Simon would be open to receiving music. And Simon also has a personal project, which is called Monte, which is more like electronic based. And he's super open to working with anyone, you know, like as long as he likes the music, he's like, let's do it. So yeah, and we work with a lot of producers, a lot of electronic music, Latin music as well, rock music. So definitely, I mean, we're definitely open. Anyone that wants to send me their music, I'm more than willing to send it over to our artists and see what happens. I feel like those collaborations have to be more artistic, more than management imposed. But I'm more than happy to send them the music and see what they feel.
Yeah, I also wanted to pitch in here because we also work with a bunch of artists. In fact, some of them work under Camila's management company, not just Bomba, but Me Too, and a lot of other really good artists, you know, in all stages of development. So if you guys have artists and artist rosters that you guys want to share, please send them over, and then yeah, we would be happy, you know, to collaborate. I think this is one of the easiest ways to grow, you know, digitally nowadays.
Great. Guys, I didn't expect we would have all these questions so early. This is great. But I have a question for both of you. I wanted to ask from the very start. So what is the most publishing income coming from? What is the main source? Because publishing can be TV, it can be radio, it can be digital, and of course sync. So from both a publishing administrator's perspective and a manager's perspective, what is the most, where is the most income coming from?
Well, I can say that locally, the most of the revenue comes from live performance. Whether that is, you know, playing live or that your music is played by sound system, you know, like parties and so on. That's where we're getting a lot of money from locally in Colombia. But when you look at the region, of course, digital is, you know, starting to get a lot higher. Yeah, and I don't know why that is, but for example, in Spain, we receive a lot of revenue in digital for a Colombian artist. But then there's it's not the same, you know, here in Colombia. And I think it's a matter of, again, going back to the beginning, all of these hubs that collect locally are not as efficient, I guess, and they're not as fast. So we're not really seeing that money, you know, right in the next period, but instead it may come in, you know, 2 years later. So that's something that we are seeing, at least at this early stage of our publishing operation. That's what we can see.
Even 2 years late, is that from like radio?
Even a lot more, you know. We just received a payment from Latin Author that gave us some royalties from 2014, so we were able to get back claims from back then. So I was very surprised, you know. The good thing is that eventually they will be paid out, you know. That's my hunch.
If one registers with a collecting society, let's just say,
and hopefully a publisher that is doing a good job, because again, there are publishers who say they do the job, but they do not, you know. And we're also seeing a lot of that, you know, a lot of the independent publishers. I'm not talking about the majors, but independent publishers that say they do this job, but when you start, you know, looking at the specific royalties that are being collected, they're not doing, you know, collection in Mexico or in the US even, or they're leaving out mechanicals and they're only collecting public performance. So, you know, it's a matter of really understanding the big picture and having, you know, the right cables plugged, you know, in all of the places where you can collect royalties from.
Of course, because I guess with a publisher, you expect them to be registered with a collecting society in each territory, right?
Exactly.
Yes. So
I mean, I would also say that it depends both the publisher and the artist or the management to be sure that you're getting the right payments. We had the same case from a major publisher that hadn't paid half of our tracks from 2017 until today. And as I was saying before, since we were so into the live music, we weren't looking at this, and we realized we hadn't been paid in the past 5 years, half of the catalog, you know. So and those things happen. I mean, I feel it wasn't like they didn't want to pay. It was just like the songs got lost in the system and they weren't being recorded for payment. So you have to be really like go into statements and see you're getting paid for everything. And also I feel like we're still getting payments for royalties for shows we played in Poland or even Denmark from 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and we're starting to get those royalties in the statements right now. So it takes time, you know, to collect all the money from years back.
The past, yes, the tales of publishing.
Yes.
So, the worst. So we have another question. What are your feelings regarding a collective like Latin Author? Do I say it correctly?
Yeah.
Author?
Well, it's not a collective, it's more like a confederation of societies. So it's really the entity, you know, that represents all of the PROs in Latin America. I think it's getting better. course, there are a lot of things that can improve, you know, transparency and tech integrations and interfaces, and of course, you know, being able to really talk to someone. I think that's very difficult, you know, because Latin author usually it's everyone, but it's nobody. Yeah, but you know, it's what's in place, and fortunately for us, it's worked out. So yeah.
Sorry, I don't know this myself. Can you sign up with Latin author or just with individual societies?
Yeah, so there's, I mean, if you have a big enough publisher, you can sign up directly.
Okay.
But if you are, you know, a writer or a small publisher, you will probably have to do it through the PRO in your country.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Herman, did we answer your question? Yes.
Yes.
Lovely. So I think, Carolina, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we have 5 to 10 minutes, is it?
That's correct. Yeah, I think we have officially 8 minutes.
8 minutes. So guys, don't be shy. If you want to fire questions, now is your moment, your time. Right, let's see.
I can just ask something in the meantime. Like, so Camilla, how
I can ask things as well. Go, Carolina.
just curious, so how did you get into the job of doing like music supervision though? And can you tell us also a little bit more how your company works? Because I, for example, just met Juan, who's in Malmö, here around the corner from Copenhagen. How is it structured? And I just think it's such an interesting company. I would love for the Nordics to know a little bit more how you guys work and find ways to collaborate.
Yeah, that's good that you talked about that. Yeah, one of my business partners, he lives in Malmo, and he's actually working for Muse right now. But he started the company with me 10 years ago. He just he married a Swedish girl, so he went there. But it's been great, you know, because he's helped us open the market in Europe, and having presence there has allowed us to do many collaborations. As Diego was saying, we have another artist called Miku, and he played in Malmo and in Stockholm 2 years ago. And I don't know, is there anyone who has?
Carolina, do you want to try to mute yourself?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it basically, and we are based, the rest of the company is based in Colombia, and we do like the people are here, but most of our work is outside of Colombia with Latin artists, but outside of Colombia. So having my business partner in Sweden has helped us a lot. And regarding the music supervision, I mean, there's a lot of local producers or content producers that are starting to become very big. And we have really good contact with them because we've synced many songs with them before. So at this point, I feel like M3 is more like a music company more than a management company. And people come to us for many things, you know, hey, could you do music supervision, or could you help us with the label part, or could you help us with the publishing? And I feel like that's been something that's been very interesting. We even get requests for booking, you know, because we've been able to work with everyone in the industry, and we have like good relationships with everyone. So as Diego was saying, one of my artists is in ONErpm, you know, so that's helped us to understand like the whole industry. And going back to the Scandinavian part, and we like working there, you know, like I feel like our artists have been very welcomed there. I don't know if the type of music they do, or you know, like the electronic part that, you know, like Nordics usually understand it very well. So we've always had like an open space to work there. So it's really nice. It's really nice, and having one there has helped us a lot as well.
Thank you, Camilla. I think that Jonah is raising his hand. Jonah.
Yeah, we have a couple of more minutes here left, so I was thinking that I could actually tell you about this music business networking event that we are organizing, which is free for every music business professional. It's a monthly event, 2 hours on Discord on the last Thursday of each month. So if you would be interested in joining and like talking about music business and meeting new collaborators and colleagues there, you're welcome to do so. I'll post the link here in the chat.
Yes, thank you,
Thank
Jonah.
you.
Sure, thanks.
That sounds amazing. I was actually last week in Dime, which happens in Spain. So I think that's the best way to do networking and to meet people. So that would be amazing. That would be really cool.
Yeah, the reason why I started it is that all of these big music conferences don't do networking very well. They don't leave any time for the actual networking to happen. So that's why I started this event with my manager friend in London. So it's been really nice to see people finding each other and like creating new business and stuff. So I hope you can find some new people to work with from there, and please do contact each other as well.
Thank you, Jonah. Wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, guys. This was great. I learned a lot. So we have both Diego and Camilla's emails here for anyone that wants to ask more questions or send music, as we heard before. So thank you very, very much. That was great.
Thank you so much for having us. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Thanks
Yeah,
again.
that was a top panel, guys. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks from Denmark
Right.
Okay.
to both Camila and Diego, and also to the fantastic folks at Musicali for helping us curate and moderate and everything. You guys have been amazing. So many hugs from Copenhagen in Denmark, and have a lovely day and evening.
You too.
Yeah.
Same from Colombia. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Oh.
Bye.